Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Driftin' and Driftin'. I'm Reverend Billy C. Wirtz, your host, and it is my great, absolute, wonderful pleasure to be here with you today with my special guest for the afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome G Love.
Yo, what's up, Rev?
How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm great. It's great to see some legendary rhythm and blues cruise family. Miss you guys. Miss you. We sure missed the chance to sail the seven seas with you guys this fall.
Well, absolutely, and all of us are feeling it very bad in several respects. And what we got to talking about was not long ago, Roger and I got to talking. You know, aside from doing music, I do radio and some interview stuff. And they said, why don't we talk to some of the artists? So we've been talking to Tommy Castro and Shamika. And then you were saying that you've just worked with Keb, which is great because we just had a really great interview with him. So it's a real pleasure to be here with you today. And I've been reading, you know, your bios, but then listening a lot. And man, you got some just really cool and interesting stuff. I got to find out what's going on. You're from Philadelphia, right?
Yeah. Yeah, born and raised in Philadelphia, and you know Philly. So I think my music, like for people that maybe don't know too much about us, what we do is called the hip hop blues, and that's kind of and it's funny because I always say to people, hey, you know, if you meet somebody on an airplane or whatever, hey, what kind of music do you play? Oh, well, we play hip hop blues, and they say, oh, well, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you never heard of us, G Love and Special Sauce before, you never heard hip hop blues because we invented it. So basically, what happened was, you know, I got turned on to the blues from listening to John Hammond's. I think his second record was called on Vanguard called Country Blues, and that record kind of led me down the rabbit hole. When I heard that first song, his version of Statesboro Blues. That when I was about 17, that's the first time I really heard Delta blues, other than the movie Crossroads, and that was what set me down the rabbit hole on my journey to find the blues, and so that was the blues side of it, and the hip hop side of it was from growing up in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia and the East Coast in general. I was kind of just coming to age in the mid 80s, and that was when hip hop was kind of really coming into its first peak with people like the Beastie Boys and Run DMC and LL Cool J and a lot of Philadelphia artists like DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and Steady B and Schoolie D. So it was all kind of unfolding like blocks away from where I grew up, and I was kind of participating in that hip hop culture. Well, I never thought about being a rapper, but one day I was playing one of my original blues songs, and I just started rapping at the end of it while I was performing on the street. I used to play on the street in South Street. So I just kind of stumbled upon mixing hip hop with the blues. So I was a student of the blues, but kind of living in this hip hop generation. So, you know, that's kind of how I stumbled upon what I do. And I had a quote from a song that said, "It just really happened. It wasn't thought up. This is the city and I am the product." You know what I mean? So it's kind of just following the path of blues and then stumbling into my life, which was hip hop.
Sure. It's kind of like the story of rock and roll in general. You know, a lot of it is by accident, and a lot of it has to do with location. Yeah. I've got a question on the right off the bat. You talk about playing on the streets. Did you do a lot of street corner playing back in the day?
Yeah. So I grew up in downtown Philadelphia, and if anybody knows that city, then you'll know South Street. And I grew up just 3 blocks from South Street. And so, you know, growing up, it was a huge, especially in the 70s and 80s, it was a big thing. There was a lot of street performance. There was jugglers, there was magicians, there was a guy that would play Mozart on the glasses. There was this guy, Rev, there was this guy named Big Al. I'll never forget because it's like it's from another era, you know, but he's
right.
He used to sit on a milk crate and he played the spoons and played a harmonica with, you know, and you know, my father would, you know, give me a quarter to throw in his hat, but he was like, you know, Mr. Bojangles or something. But
wow.
It was like a bygone era. So when I got to be like 15 or 16, we started kind of doing it as a joke, just kind of going out playing on the street, and man, we made like $20. So, like if 15-year-old making 20, like,
Sure.
oh, wait a minute, this in 1986, that was a lot of money.
You had to hell with McDonald's. This is a way to make money, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great.
So like early on, I kind of found like this opportunity, like wow, like I can actually perform and do a gig uh, before I was able to, legally do a gig at a bar or something like that, and make a little money. And it kind of, not that it was any type of money, but it did show me like as a young person, like a path, like I could do this. And then I later moved to Boston specifically to be a street performer in Harvard Square and the T, and that was like the first gig. So it gave me a path, you know what I mean?
Okay. If you weren't doing music, what would you be doing? Was there ever a second career choice, or was there ever a second path you were headed down?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I was gonna go to college, and I did go to
Hmm.
college for a year, and you know, I'm sure I always thought maybe I'd be a teacher. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just kind of what kind of I was thinking. But to tell you the truth, there was really, once I turned 16 and started writing songs, there was no real like other option for me other than playing music. Like that's how passionate I was
Understood.
about it, and then I had the work ethic for it.
Hmm.
And then it was just kind of baby steps, kind of into the music industry, and then
Sure.
figuring that out, and then
As we're sitting here talking, is there a defining moment that you can look back and say, okay, I was doing this and I was doing that, and then it hit me, I can do this, or I'm going to do this? Was there an incident, a day?
yeah. Um, it sounds kind of funny, but yeah, like I was a pretty good kid. I didn't cut school too much, but I had cut school one day with my little girlfriend, and my mother, she used to make me a little bag lunch, a little brown bag lunch.
Right?
So I was sitting with my little girlfriend, and we were about 16, and we were sitting on the hill there by the Society Hill Towers in
Right.
Philadelphia, and I just said to her, "Look, all I want to do is play music." I said, as long as if I had this bag lunch every day, that'd be enough for me. So that was kind of, I just remember saying that, and you know, to me it was always like, look, I'll be honest, like we weren't we grew up, very comfortably. My father was an attorney, and my mother
Hmm.
was, she basically took care of us, but she also ran a cooking school out of our house. Um, so I didn't grow up in ever wanting for anything,
Understood.
and for sure I was probably on a path to go to college and have some
Hmm.
kind of profession. To me, that was like a set in stone thing. The music thing was like a risk. Like I kind of, to me, to me, I know a lot of people, especially kids these days, like they want to make music to make money. But to me, it was like I'm gonna make music, and I'm probably gonna starve and just live on red beans and rice. But I don't care because I just want to play music. So to me, it was kind of like the journey into music and following my craft and my passion and my art was specifically to kind of turn my back on any kind of financial security. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's kind of how I looked at it early on. Well, I ended up making a pile of money and doing well, but that's an interesting thing when I think about, motivation. And as far as like the arts are concerned, and my music specifically and my songwriting is concerned, it's like I try to be pure about what I'm trying to do, and that's to express myself, and it's to express myself in a pure form of art and expression, not to try to get some kind of monetary gain. You know what I mean?
Sure. And on that, let's talk about the craft of songwriting. You write these brilliant, wonderful songs. Now, do you write are you like the disciplined guy that writes an hour every morning when you get up and do your workout, your yoga, and then you write? Or do you get ideas and then put them on the tape recorder, and or the cell phone now, you can put them in the smartphone.
Yeah, no, Billy, yeah, for me, I'm pulling up my phone right now to show you because I'm the second. I'm the notes guy, so I got my voice memos and I got Scott.
Yeah.
You can't really see, but I got just
Right.
hundreds and hundreds and these go on for years. So and then the same thing in my notes, the notes, all these song ideas,
Yeah.
song ideas, it's
Yeah.
song ideas, and yeah, so I have a good work ethic. I will just also admit I'm not the most disciplined. I'd probably be even better if I was a little more disciplined. But I to that note, like as far as songwriting is concerned, again, like I try to write from a pure place, and that means it has to be truly inspired. Not just write a song for just to work. I of course earlier on in my career when I'm coming up, and that was when you're a kid, you tend to shed more. Like that's when people get their skills when they're in their teens and early 20s, like shedding and wood shedding and spending a lot of time practicing the craft of your instruments, practicing the craft of songwriting. Keep at it. Nowadays, because we have a pretty good catalog now, I just really write when it truly hits me, and I'm also a lot more critical of like I let it flow out, right? But as far as like if I go sit down with the song that just kind of poured out, then I'll really go back and edit it, and if I'm not really feeling it, it's a lot easier to kind of just cut it loose now and move on to the next idea.
Tell me about a real life incident that led to a song.
All right.
Or something that you saw or witnessed and you said, that's.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff. I mean, one in particular, like, is a song from my first record called Shootin' Hoops. And that was like me painting a picture of the basketball courts of Philadelphia. And I always thought that was like my first hit. And it's a blues song because the music of it, if you listen to it, the riff is that kind of Born Under a Bad Sign, Albert King riff, right? And the lyrical content is all about the inner city basketball. And that's what I try to do is like paint a picture. And then one off my last record that Kevmo produced was called Shine on Moon. And now I live in the countryside in Cape Cod, and we have these old like trees in the yard. It gets kind of spooky at night. And one night we were out there and it was like a full moon coming through the mist, and there were these two owls, like these two like great horned owls, and they were up in the tree, and then they flew off together, and I never forget that. So in that song Shine on Moon, that's the last line. It was you can see two owls flying, and baby, that's just like me and you.
Yeah.
It's kind of a.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I never really hear the word owls in a song. It's funny, like, but I think as songwriters, one thing we're always trying to do is like find like a new way of saying an old thing, or using different imagery that's real, stuff that you really did see or that really has a story behind it, but they're very descriptive. Like if I'm writing with like a younger artist, I always like really push them to like be really descriptive and try to use words that like you don't generally hear. Even like, Dr. John, like, may he rest in peace, and like Mac was one of my favorite songwriters. And one thing I love about him is that he would make up words, like destatively.
Yeah.
What's the word? And in the right place. He is always making up words, and so that's, to me, that's really sticky, like that's been said a million times in a new way.
Right. Professor Longhair was famous for that. You know, he
Okay.
would talk about how he constructed it, but then he deconstructed, you know, that kind of thing. You know, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I see, you know, I see what you, some of the stuff on YouTube. I'm listening and I'm going, you worked with Mary Clayton.
Yeah.
Okay, man, I'm big impressed. Tell me about that. Come on.
Yes. So I had written. Well, I had not written this song. A singer songwriter, which I know that the LRBC crowd would love, and I highly recommend checking out, is a woman named Christy Lee, and she's from Mobile, Alabama, and she's a wonderful singer, kind of a you know, blue-eyed soul singer, but also like
Right.
a singer-songwriter, but she can really belt it out, man. And she was on tour with us, and I heard her jamming this song "One Night Romance" on the bus after the show one night, and I said, "Oh my God, what is that song? That's a hit. Did you ever put that out?" She goes, "No, I didn't put it out. What are you waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
That's a hit, you know." And I said, "Well, can I cut it?" So we started singing it, and well, we cut it for the record, and Emmett Malloy at Brushfire Records. I was going to originally do the duet with Christy Lee. And it was just about the time that 10 Feet from Stardom, right? That
Sure.
documentary came
Right.
out, which really kind of put Mary and a lot of other singers, famous kind of background vocalists, into the limelight. So, hey, you know what? We reached out to her, and she was willing to come do the session. So, you know, she showed up, and well, it was pretty cool because she came in the studio and we were recording at Brushfire Records studio, and that's Jack Johnson's studio in
Yeah.
Hollywood. And Mary came in and she said, "Well, do you guys have any wine?" So it just so happened that Josh Nicotro, like the guy who kind of ran the nuts and bolts of the label, was a wine collector. So he went up and got like a nice couple bottles of Pinot Noir or whatever, and well, Mary just started telling stories like just right
Oh.
away about like
Oh.
singing with, you know, Mick Jagger. For people that don't know,
Yeah.
Clayton's most famous for the vocal on "Gimme Shelter" with the Rolling Stones. She sings the high duet part with Mick Jagger. So she told us about working with Mick. She told us about working with Ray Charles. She was one of the original Raylettes, I think.
Yeah.
And she definitely made sure to tell us that she was a Raylette but did not let Ray. And yeah, man. So we had some wine, and you know we went in, and you know it's kind of daunting, and you know to try to do a live,
Oh yeah.
do a vocal with her. And she kind of really helped me. She was kind of coaching me on like how to really hit a note rhythmically, like to make it, you know, kind of punch
Pop.
through.
Yeah.
So it, you know, it was truly a learning experience,
Oh man.
and you know her vocal was awesome, and I hung in there, so it worked out, and yeah, we probably just did a couple passes, and then you know I sang it well enough not to mess up anything that she did.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. 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 Well,
Yeah,
you know, one of the things I've loved, I've been doing the cruises for a while. And one of the things that I love, all aside from the playing, we'll talk about that in a minute. One of my favorite things is to sit up there in the Lido lounge or in the deck, you know, after getting some spaghetti or whatever, and grabbing a table where like, you know, Scrap Iron and Bobby Rush and some of those old guys are sitting around and listening to them start telling road stories.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, we did a panel two of them ago where I did a thing called Further On Up the Road, where I had like several of these guys, you know, and I mean, it was absolutely captivating. I mean, you know, when you talk to a guy like Bobby Rush, you say, so what was the first road band you played with? Elmore James.
Wow. No way. Wow.
You know, you're going, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, Leon Blue, who I've gotten to be good buddies with, you know, this guy was there when Ray Charles first comes to, you know, I'm like a sponge. I just soak it all up, you know,
Wow.
it's amazing. So leading into that, tell us how you got hooked up with the LRBC thing and tell us about your experience here.
Well, you know, Roger has been booking us in Kansas City since my since early on in my career
Right.
at Grand Emporium and I think the City Market. So he was always like a big supporter of what we were doing, and so that it was our connection. And to tell you the truth, I got a I got a message on Twitter some years back, and it's from Barb Babs, they call her, and she's a cruiser. She's been going on the cruise for, I don't know, 20 years
Right.
or however long, her and her girls, because of course everybody knows that it's such a community.
Sure.
And she kind of like, I don't know, I think she kind of shook Roger's leaves and said, hey, you know, let's get G Love, and maybe she kept going after
Hmm.
Roger over and over again, and Roger said, oh well, let's give G a try, and it was cool. So we have been on some other cruises like Jam Cruise and some different ones, and and it was cool. I mean, like, obviously what we do is not straight ahead blues, and I think that we were really welcomed by the cruisers and uh, the musicians, and we kind of brought a little something different to the table, which is probably nice for people to kind of mix it up during the day of seeing a ton of blues and then getting to see a couple of little different beats, because obviously like, we bring the hip hop beats, and um, so I thought all in all it went well, and we gained a lot of new fans, and it's been really cool to on our regular tour to see a lot of the cruisers coming out to the shows, and kind of coming into our house
Yeah.
after they welcomed us so so heartfelt into their house. So it's
Hmm.
been cool to like see that family grow. And then the other thing was the musicians. Of course, Kev and I, we know each other since '93, where we both got signed together by this guy Michael Kaplan, and together we relaunched the OKEH
Oh yeah. Yeah.
record label, which even Robert Johnson had a side on in the '30s, and you know I'll never forget at the Philadelphia Folk Fest when I was 16. I had my demo tape. I gave it to the security guard at the side stage during the Taj Mahal show. Said, "Hey, can you give this to Taj Mahal?" I doubt he ever got it, but um, and again, like I've been a student of the blues, so to me, it's my passion, and to get to be on the boat with legendary older guys like the legends, I get to sit in with Buddy Guy, um, to get to hang out with Taj and his daughters, uh, to get to Diva and Zoe, to get to reconnect with Kebmo, to um, I wish John and Marla Hammond have never been on a cruise at the same time we've been on.
Oh
So
really?
I hope we can be on a cruise one time together.
Are,
And then to get to meet some of the young guys like Kingfish and uh, Cedric Burnside and Trenton Ayers, and you know, um, wow, like just get, and then Marcus King, and
yeah.
um,
There's hope for that next generation.
man, and then we didn't cruise with him, but John Tavius Willis,
Yeah.
we just we were on we he was touring with us right when the COVID thing hit,
Right.
but we just spent about you know uh, 6 weeks on the road with him right before all this mess.
Oh, he's hitting on all cylinders.
He is he's just such a wonderfully talented musician, and such an awesome guy too. And yeah, so it's but I'll tell you a funny story real quick before we move on. This is how Roger is, right? Um, so like on the cruise, it's a 7-day cruise, right?
Right.
Everybody knows, and yeah, it's hard to take a break,
Sure.
because everything is going on all day and all night. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you want to stay up till 6 in the morning with the California honey drops, you can
Have at it.
too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right, right.
It never stops. So this one night I had off. It was like my one day kind of
Right.
off, and well, damn, Buddy Guy was playing, but really kind of needed a night in the just to decompress, you know.
Sure.
And so my wife said, "Look, you're not going anywhere tonight." And so I said, "All right, well, fuck it." So we went
Yes,
to
dear.
room service. I had my pajamas on. You know, we rented a movie, and I'm in bed, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and it's Roger. I go, no, the phone. No one had called the room the whole.
Right.
I'm like, who the heck is this? Gee, it's Roger. Oh, hey, Roger, what's going on? Get your fucking ass up on deck. Buddy Guy's playing, and he wants you to sit in. Get your ass up here right now. Okay, right. I'll be right there, boss. So, like, I took off the PJs, you know, put on the polyesters.
Yeah.
And, like, 15 minutes later, I'm on stage with Buddy Guy. And, you know, at first, I got to say, I was like, God damn, Roger. And then I can't thank him enough, because that was,
Oh, yeah.
that will sitting in with Buddy Guy, and I had my harmonica, and he said, "Oh, this reminds me of some Junior Wells, who of course was one of my big influences."
Sure.
I will take that with me for the rest of my life. So thank you, Roger.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we wouldn't even be, he's here. He's the reason we're here now, you know, so I understand it's, you know, the gigs are great. I do the piano bar, and I do, you know, the lectures on gospel and whatnot. But it's just the experience and just hanging out, and it's kind of like, it's great, but it's overload, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just, and you can but little things happen, like Bobby Womack was on there one year, and it was the same year that Bland was on. And I went to see Womack out there on the deck, and he wasn't feeling all that good, but I'm a big gospel fan, and I love like his stuff that he did for Sam Cooke back in the day. And he got on stage and he was throwing the band off because they didn't know, but he was doing like Jesus Build a Fence Around Me and that kind of thing. And he did Touch the Hem of His, you know, that sort of stuff that he was reaching back. And that's just those, you could tell he was doing it for Bland, because he was eyeing Bland when he was doing it. And you're going, those are those magic minutes,
Yeah.
you know, and moments that you're just not going to have anywhere else. And so, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Hammond. Now, do you not have something going on with him?
Wait, Rev, can I just throw one more little story in
Yeah,
there?
yeah, sure.
Because just remind me, because on the last one, now I'm spacing out. Tommy had gone wherever we went ashore in Mexico or whatever.
Right.
Well, he came back with like Montezuma's Revenge.
Oh,
So but he had a show in the theater that night, and said he was like hurting, you know, like, but he was
Yeah.
crushing it. But long story short is that he kind of saw me on the side of the stage or something. Was like, yo, so someone said, yeah, go up. You got the look from Tommy, go jam. So, and then the first song went well, so he just kept me up there for about half the set, which I was just loving. And it was just one of those things. If he was probably feeling better, he might not have. He might have just had me up for one.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It can happen, and nobody cares. You know, it's just the great opportune moment is there. When we did that panel discussion, we talked about your worst moments on stage, and Bobby Rush talked about having Montezuma's Revenge on stage and telling the band, you know, telling the sax player, take a break, and he ran, and the door was locked to the dressing room. You know? And he's going, keep playing. You know? So, yeah, it's wonderful. Now, you producing Hammond? What's going on there?
Yeah, so you know, John, you know, like I said, so I'll just kind of go back and tell the whole
Yeah,
story.
sure.
So I started playing the harmonica on the rack
Right.
when I was about 15, and of course, my parents had a Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits
Right.
record in the basement, and I think they also had Neil Young, like Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere record. And so, of course, I knew Dylan and Neil Young as far as the guys that play harmonica on the record.
Right.
I started writing a lot, heavily influenced by, you know, Bob Dylan and the Beatles and Neil Young. And And then I started going to like open mic nights, and much to my disappointment, other people also knew about Bob Dylan, and a lot of people were doing
Yeah, yeah.
the Neil Young and Bob Dylan thing. So I thought I was the only one in my high school in the '80s. I was, but um, that wasn't the case like in the real world. So I don't know what it was, but I was always looking for a different angle. If someone was doing something, I always wanted to go the other way. If someone's wearing this, I'd always
Sure.
go wear that, you know.
Right.
And once they started wearing that, well, I'm not switch it up. Um, so I went down. There was this great record store in Philadelphia called Third Street Jazz and Rock, and I went in and I said, "Is there anybody that plays solo acoustic guitar with a harmonica on the rack?" Hand me the John Hammond record. Like I said, I put this country blues record on, and that first version of Statesboro Blues was the A side, and then the B side had Traveling Riverside Blues, and you know that was it for me. And
That's a
so,
stunning record.
oh man. And so then, you know, the Philadelphia Folk Song Society is a wonderful asset to the city of Philadelphia, and they brought a lot of amazing folk and blues people in to play these shows
Oh yeah.
that all ages could go to. So my father started taking me. So I got to see John Hammond play a bunch of times in high school, and you know John was pretty accessible, and I got to meet him, and you know same thing like really embarrassing stuff too, like my father going up to him and being like, "Hey, you know, my son's like your number one fan. Do you think you could ever jam with them?" Like that type of. Then I would be like,
Right.
"No, Dad."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, but it was like that, and then I remember like I wrote John like this note and gave it to the dishwasher at the North Star Bar in Philly when he was playing. "Hey, can you give this to Mr. Hammond?" Well, there's one night, my little high school sweetheart Jenny and I drove her red Toyota Celica about 45 minutes from Philadelphia, and we were going to this kind of roadside bar where John was playing. So of course we go to get in, and they say, "Well, you know, you're not 21, you can't come in." Well, shit. All right. And I said, "Well, what if we come back with our parents?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can come in with your parents." So I great. Well, let's just go sit in the car and wait till someone that looks like they could be our parents show up. Well, then the first couple that show up are John and Marla Hammond, and this is even
Oh
before they were married. Excuse me.
no.
And so I was like, "Holy shit, Jenny, that's John Hammond." So I said, "Hey, John," and I had met him a couple times already. I said, "Hey, John, it's Garrett." You know, "Hey, Garrett," you know, he's such a nice guy. And I said, "Hey, man, you know, we drove all the way from Philly, and we just want to see the music. You know, we don't want to drink. We just want to see you. Can you ask the guy?" The guy said, "If we come in with our parents, can you ask the guy?" He goes, "All right, let me see what I can do." So he goes talk to the bouncer. So he comes back and he goes, "All right, guys, here's the deal. You guys can come in the show, but on one condition." We're like, "Yeah, anything." They're like, "Well, you can't drink and you have to sit with us." And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever." So we basically sat with John and Marla, watched the opening act, and you know, like I mean, I was so like, you know, if you just can understand like a kid, I was so
Oh, I do. Yeah.
with John. Like I used to dress like him on the record covers, and
Yeah.
you know, sit there with that record and read those liner notes over and over again. And I really wanted to be him, and so I like quoted one of the songs, "Hitchhiking Woman," in my yearbook, and it was just a real thing. So that was kind of start. So anyhow, years later, you know, I ended up making it, and Marla had called, and we had gotten to do some shows and a tour together over the years. Once I had kind of made it, and so we continued the relationship professionally, and it was pretty cool. And then one day, John and Marla hit me up, and they asked me would I produce a record they were going to do on Blue Note. So of course, there's a wonderful opportunity for me to get to kind of, I don't know.
On Blue Note, yeah, one of the great labels of all time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's up there with OK.
It was,
Wow.
I don't even know what to say. It was the band that he used from the Wicked Grin record that Tom Waits had produced, like Marty
Hmm.
Blue on the bass, and
Oh, he's great. I love Marty.
Steve, who's Tom Waits' drummer, um, and the organ player who's out of Boston, but just this awesome band, and
Yeah, it's okay.
I just it was unbelievable. We did it down in Orange, New York, and like I felt like I we actually cut one or two of my songs. Um, you know, I don't know, man. Looking back, there's some things I would have done differently, but just all in all, it's like a magical week, and it's great to get to watch John in the studio, and to get to because John's like he's John Hammond, like he does a take, and it's unbelievable, but
Yeah.
I think as a producer, what I look for in a producer is like a coach, right?
Hmm.
And so it went from me being the student to being like the coach, and so sometimes I would be like, hey man, that of course that was like an epic take, but like I think you guys are onto something. Like the energy's building. Like, can you do a take or two
Hmm.
more? I don't,
Sure.
so there's times like I kind of push it like that, and I think, and generally John's the type of artist that would just do one take, and that would
Sure.
be that, and it would be great. So there was a couple times when I pushed him to do a couple more takes, and I thought that was cool. And a couple, I encourage him to kind of get some different sounds, like with some pedals on on the guitar a couple
Uh
times.
huh.
Yeah, but I mean, and he was cool. Like he was always willing to go there.
That's great.
It was just
It's great.
unbelievable experience.
Let me. We this. I could sit and talk to you all day, man. This is just great. You some great stories and some truly great experiences, and I really enjoy where your head's at with all this. Real quick, do you have a new family member? Did I hear correctly?
Well, that's the newest family member. If you can hear that rooster,
I hear it. Okay. Yeah.
that's the rooster named Dutton. I don't know if you saw me look over like this because
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
he's been he's actually kind of aggressive, and he chased my 4-year-old Lewis and jumped.
Oh,
So Lewis is like terrified of the rooster now, and that's why I was 5 minutes late for the interview because I was trying to catch the damn rooster and put him away out of the
okay.
yard. I was just looking over to make sure Lewis wasn't playing.
Right. Is he okay? Everything okay?
Yeah, no, he's fine.
Okay.
He's inside, I think. But yeah, we had a baby uh, named Garrett this February 13th, and so
Congratulations. Way to
thanks.
go.
And it's funny because when Lewis, who's now 4, was a baby, we were on a blues cruise, and of course, there's not really any kids on a blues cruise.
Right.
And will say I'm sorry for the people that were in the cabin next to us because I know the baby woke him up a couple times.
Right. That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. I just know my wife mentioned it and she said to say hi and congratulations. So,
Oh, thank
and
you.
same from here. Um, when this is all said and done, this is all at the back end of all of this, and you're sitting out on the porch there in Cape Cod and you're looking back on all of it. How would you like to be remembered?
Wow. Rev, I guess I like to be remembered as an innovator, you know what I mean? And someone that not only was a student of the blues, but also try to do something different with the inspiration that I gained from being a student of the blues and trying to really kind of, you know, just do my own thing with
Hmm.
what I learned along the road to learning Robert Johnson and Lightning Hopkins, and it reminds me of a story that actually John Hammond told me because John's got amazing stories.
Oh yeah.
He played with everybody, and he said one time after he played a show with Muddy Waters, and Muddy had seen him play, and Muddy said, "Damn, how'd you learn how to play like that?" And John said, Well, man, from listening to, the records, man, your records and Robert Johnson. And Muddy looked at me and says, me too. I got a kick out of that. So,
Oh man.
I'm just trying to, I'm just kind of, one more cat listening to the records and falling in love with the blues, man.
And everything you said, I mean, it felt like I could sit, not only just I felt like I was hearing myself. The same thing, the passion, the everything else goes by the wayside. When the bug hits you and the switch goes on, sorry, that's it. And it's, you got to scratch that itch, or Speaking of which, listen, could you feel like playing a little something for us? I'd be honored to have you, man.
Yeah. Let's How about I give you two?
That'd be fabulous. Oh,
All right. Well, the first, so we didn't touch too much on working with Kebmo, but I will say that Keb is taught me making a record with Kebmo was like taking a master class, not only in the blues but in music in general, and he taught me so much, and songwriting as well, and like he's such a you know like the word that's coming into mind is nitpicking, but I don't mean it in a negative way. But what word am I looking for, Billy?
perfectionist.
Perfectionist, but also just so much attention to detail, and the way that every note, every melody, every vocal or guitar or drum or bass, anything hits that beat. And I learned so much about rhythm and also like the history of the blues.
Right. He's
And
very engaged.
oh my God, I mean, it was really inspiring just to work with him and get to sit for many, many hours and many, many days. So one of the things was always like, so this song is one of my favorite songs, not only from the record, but it's my favorite songs of my whole career. These next two songs I'm gonna play, and the first one is called Soul BQ. So the writing process was really interesting because Kev Mo, like his whole thing is he doesn't his he's not trying to do a throwback blues record like a lot of artists, myself included, maybe want to get a sound that sounds like a scratchy old chess record, right? His thing is like when Muddy and Howlin' Wolf and everybody else were recording, they were using the top of the line technology, right? So he's like, I want to use the top of the line technology. When I make a blues record, it's going to be, sonically be able to hang next to, like a Beyonce record or anything like that as far as like high fidelity, right? So his thing is always, and when he's making, it was when we're writing, it's another testament to Keb. Like he's taking the time. He knows how to run a studio. He knows how to make beats on a drum machine. So a lot of the writing, when we're doing the writing, he would make beats. It was almost like we were making a hip hop record. Now later on, all the computer generated stuff was replaced by live instrumentation. But he really has an idea of exactly what he wants to do with every song. So anyhow, he had got this beat up, and he goes, "Gee, just start playing like your regular groove." You know what I'm saying? Play just what you would play. So I started going, just kind of like a heavier kind of strum, just kind of a train, just kind of a heavy right-handed kind of
Right.
earthy strum. And he goes, "All right, so what are we gonna write the song about?" Well, I wanted to write a song that I could imagine like people like coming into a venue and me kind of welcoming them into my vibe, into my music, into my house, right? So that was what it was all about. And then we started doing this song, and we got to the chorus. We go, we're having a party now. Well, what's this party called? Well, we got to it, and I go, well, it's a soul barbecue. The kid looks at me and goes, soul barbecue? That's some G Love shit. And so that was like, I know we talked about earlier, like Dr. John making up words. So that was what we tried. Well, that's what I did with this one. We made up a word called soul barbecue. Now, If anybody wants to open a soul barbecue chain of restaurants, you make sure you hit me up first.
Okay.
Tell Roger we got to don't let anybody in Kansas.
Yeah, you better watch that. Yeah.
So here's a soul barbecue.
Great,
Want to
great.
come for a party at my house?
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
Oh, let's go. Come on into my house. Come on into my house. Come on into my house. Have yourself a seat. Tell me what you're drinking. Let me fix you something to eat. What I'm serving up, you don't need a spoon. You need to clap your hands and stomp your feet and dance around this room. Well, don't you feel better? Hey, I knew you would. Come on into my house. Everything tastes good. It's a bebop. Don't need no invitation. Just drop on by. Stop. Get up and throw down a funky stew. It's a low down, hold down soul. It's a soul. A soul with you. A low down, hold down soul. Look here. Charlie brought the chicken. Whitey brought the wine, G-Love brought the reefer and the moonshine. Karina brought the cobbler, Granny brought the greens, Billy brought the biscuit, and Bonnie brought the beans. Is anybody hungry? You better get a plate. It won't take long, it'll be long gone. Now don't you hesitate. Don't you feel better? Hey, I knew you would. Come on into my house. Everything tastes good. It's a bebop. Don't need no invitation. Drop on by, stop. Get up and throw down a funky stew. It's a low down, hold down soul. It's a soul, a low down, hold down soul. Woo! Well, it's a real good jam all night. Hooting and howling in the moonlight. But if you can't hold your liquor or you feeling bad, we gon' send your ass home in a taxi cab. We gon' keep it going, don't worry about that. Call all the cats where it's at. You know, the end of the road, all night long, that's the way we flow. Is anybody hungry? You better get a plate. It won't take long, it'll be long gone. Now don't you hesitate. Oh, feel better? Yeah, Billy, I know you would. Come on into my house. It's alright, it's all good. It's a bebop. Don't need no invitation. Just drop on by. It's time to get up and throw down a funky stew. It's a low down soul. It's a soul. A low down soul. McHugh.
Yeah, that was great.
So a couple of things before I start this next one. This is my 1939 Dobro, and this is people say like, what's your? I don't like to put too much, into material possessions, but my father gave me this when I was 18, and it
It's
means the world
beautiful.
to me. It's probably like the only material possession I really care about, but it's pretty cool because back in the day before I had this amazing Carlton road cases for my guitars, I used to run through the airport. I wouldn't want to check this, so. And yeah, one time I was running through the airport and I literally came around the corner and physically ran into Bo Diddley. I physically bumped into Bo Diddley. And I said, holy shit, Bo, would you sign my guitar? I said, there's just a little remnant left. You can't see this is Bo Diddley, but sure enough, Bo Diddley touched that.
Wow, unbelievable.
I'll never forget that, but so that's pretty cool. So this next song is another song. This is the title track from G Love, the Juice record, and this song's called The Juice. And this was a song that I had written the verses, and I had this first groove, and then I took it to Kebmo, and he really helped to turn this into what I consider to be my best song ever. Um, and um, and the chorus is um, is something that really means a lot. And it says, especially in the time that we're living in right now. And the chorus,
Okay.
I'm going to say the words: "We got the juice, we got the love, we got the dreams. We won't give up. We are the change. We had enough. We got the juice. Time's up." And it's a song about kind of bringing people together. And it's also kind of a song just about being fed up with, a lot of the politics in our country,
Sure.
and the negative vibes. Um, so, so this is it, man. And and to get to write this song with Kebmo, a man who's, kind of, you know, come up probably as a teenager during the civil rights movement and um, just all the things that he's
Hmm.
had to deal with probably in his life as a black man, as an African American man, and that I'll never be able to truly understand. But to be able to get to write this song with Kebmo means the world to me. And, I really thank Kev for kind of taking me under his wing. So here we go. It goes like this. We got a Jew, got the real Jews. Baby, tell me what you want. Oh yeah, we got the Jews.
Great.
Yeah. That's all good? No more lies about that, no more lies about that, no more ace up your sleeve, please just lay your cards flat. See how streets had it rough when the struggle is tough. Bad news on the news every day, it's enough. It's enough to make good people turn around and leave. How about we march in the streets, cause we're free, raise our fists in the air. Cause we do care, you say who cares? We do. We got the juice, we got the love, we got the dreams. We won't give up. We ought to change. We had enough. We got the juice. Time's up. Divided you fall, united we rise. It's been hard to see through all these tears in our eyes. So why do we cry? Teardrops stay stained. Like Cat Stevens, we ride the peace train. Now let us be real. You must be insane in your brain. Songs going now, you cannot remain. We need positive change. We will not regress. Now to the peaceful, we must progress. We got the juice. We got the love. We got the dream. We won't give up. We all the change. We had enough. We got the juice. Time's up. Let's get loose, baby. Let's get lifted. Something's going on now, and you sure don't want to miss it, yeah. And you can feel it in the streets, from your toes to your feet, and from sea to shining sea. Let's go. Give it. Oh yeah. Oh. You gotta write a letter. You gotta sign a petition, man. You've got to get out and vote. Don't stand down. Stand up. Look here. This is a letter, but also a song. And if something ain't right, then it must be dead wrong. For the birds and the bees and the herbs and the trees, and every single person's sanity. Humanity's all of us, all colors and all kinds. Now we want world peace and just a little peace of mind. We don't need no more wars. We don't need no more guns. We need a better world now for our daughters and our sons.
Come on.
We got the juice. We got the love. We got the dream. We won't give up. We are the change. We had enough. We got the juice. Time's up. Time's up. Time's up. Time's up, baby.
Oh man. That was great. It just doesn't get any better than that, brother, man. Listen, tell folks real quick how they can find out more about you. Or you got a website, that kind of all that good stuff.
Yep. So on Instagram, I'm at Philly G Love, at Philly Glove. On Twitter, at G Love, at Glove. On our home on Facebook, G Love and Special Sauce, and our homepage is philadelphonic.com. And also gloves.hotsauce.com. Actually, this is made in Kansas City. I think that's everything there. And one thing I forgot to mention, Rev, was that's on the record. That song's a really great Blues Cruise reunion because Marcus King's the featured guest on that track.
Okay.
And of course, that's where we really got to know each other. And Kev, we were all on the cruise together one year. So just want to give shouts out to Roger and everybody on the cruise, for having us and welcoming us with open arms. You know what I mean?
Well, and this is exactly why we do this. I just want to thank you so much for being a gracious, a guest, inviting us into your house, sharing. What was the rooster's name again?
Dutton.
Yeah, with you and Dutton and the rest of the family. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for sharing your story, man, and telling us about what is really going on and playing your great music. I mean, it just has been an absolutely wonderful time from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. And you folks out there, this is Reverend Billy C. Wirtz saying thank you for tuning us in on Driftin' and Driftin'. Once again, my special guest, G Love. We'll see you folks down the road a little bit. Don't forget, this will be on the LRBC page. That will be at 5 o'clock this Thursday. And you all can find it there. Thanks again, G. I really appreciate it very, very much. Good night, everybody. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Reverend Billy.
Channel, surfing the news, about to give this old boy the blues. Talking heads don't make no sense, nothing to do with the shape I'm in. Need to sing, need to dance, need to cut loose in the way I can. Gonna fly away, by the free, be on home, you and me. I'm gonna lose my mind, I'm gonna lose my mind, don't go crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna lose my mind if I don't go crazy. I'm gonna Get me another. Let's go to focus stuff on the cover. smile. Woke up this morning and the sun's still rising, so that I am all good in the neighborhood. But we need a celebration tonight, a party in the woods. Guitars and girls, bonfires blazing. Don't it sound amazing? Bring some and shake it, a can of change. It's all good, no worries. It's all feeling, no faking. Midnight baking, lots of love making. We got the cure for all your pain or frustration. I'm gonna lose my mind.